Snow fell in slow, whispering spirals that Christmas Eve night, drifting through the glow of the street lamps like tiny, frozen wishes no one bothered to make any more. Sarah stood outside the restaurant, hugging herself against the wind. Her breath came out in shaky white clouds. The cold didn't bother her as much as the silence, that awful, stretching silence that followed humiliation. She blinked hard, willing the tears to go back where they came from. But they didn't. Not tonight. Not after what happened inside. Music from the restaurant spilled out behind her, warm, joyful, loud. The exact opposite of the storm brewing in her chest. Couples laughed. Families took pictures. The world moved on. And she stood alone. Again, a broken, trembling voice escaped her lips. Why does this keep happening? She buried her face in her scarf, and that's exactly when she heard it. A sound so faint, so fragile, she almost mistook it for the wind. A whimper, a sniffle, then a tiny cough. She froze, looked up, looked around, and she saw them. Two little girls, tiny, barely 7, standing together under a flickering street lamp, shivering violently. Their shoes didn't match. Their jackets were thin, and their eyes were the saddest thing Sarah had ever seen. The tallest girl clutched something to her chest, a small stuffed bunny missing an ear. The smaller one hugged her own elbows, teeth chattering, cheeks red from the cold. Sarah took a breath. Steps toward them felt slow, heavy, icy. Sweethearts, where are your parents? The taller girl swallowed, her lips trembling. Well, we don't have any. The words hit Sarah like a punch to the ribs. She crouched down, gripping her scarf. What do you mean? The smaller girl lifted her big, watery eyes. They went to heaven last year. And just like that, Sarah couldn't breathe. Christmas lights blurred behind her. The whole world went quiet except for the tiny, broken voices of 2 freezing children standing alone on a night meant for warmth. The taller one stepped closer. Are you nice? She whispered. Sarah nodded, tears finally spilling over. I try to be. And then, with the most fragile, most hopeful voice imaginable, Hannah asked the question that split her heart open. Will you be our mom? If you believe in kindness, second chances, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel Kindness Stories Hub. Your support helps us bring more real, healing stories into the world. Sarah wasn't a stranger to loneliness. 34 years old, 1 failed engagement, 2 heartbreaks that nearly broke her spirit, and a lifetime of being told she was too emotional, too soft, too much. She used to believe softness was a weakness, until she realized it was a superpower, just one the world didn't appreciate. Not yet. Her Christmas blind date was supposed to be different. Her sister had set it up. A good man, Sarah. Finally, someone honest, stable. He's a teacher, loves kids, you'll click instantly. Sarah had allowed herself to hope. She showed up in her best red dress, with trembling hands and a mind rehearsing 1,000 silly lines. But the moment she sat down at the table, she saw it. Disappointment. Right on the man's face. He didn't hide it, didn't soften it. His first words, "Oh, you're Sarah. You look nothing like the photo your sister sent." Then he laughed. Actually laughed. The kind of laugh that people use when they feel superior. Sarah stayed polite, tried to smile, tried to keep the evening from collapsing. But halfway through the appetizers, he stood. "You're not really my type. I don't want to waste your time." And he walked out, leaving her alone with a bill, a half-empty wine glass, and a heart that felt stupid for hoping. She walked out trying not to cry, a grown woman, crying on Christmas. And then she found the twins, or maybe they found her. Sarah ushered the twins into the nearest cafe, a tiny place still open because the owner believed no one should be alone on Christmas. It was warm, quiet, glowing with soft fairy lights. The girls sat side by side, hands wrapped around hot chocolate mugs. Sarah watched them, studied the way they moved, the way they flinched at sudden sounds, the way they kept checking the door, like they expected someone to take them away again. She knelt beside them. "What's your name?" "Sweetheart." "I'm Hannah." And I'm Holly, the smaller girl whispered. Where were you going? We don't know. We were looking for somewhere to stay. A shelter, Hannah corrected softly. Sarah nearly broke. Who takes care of you now? No one. We were in a foster home, but Holly looked down. They didn't want us anymore. That was it. That was the sentence that cracked Sarah completely. People not wanting children. People disposing of kids like they were mistakes. People turning away from innocence. She clenched her fists. Childhood had never been kind to her either. She spent most of her youth trying to be good enough for love. And these girls, they were reliving her past. I'm going to help you, Sarah said gently. But the twins looked terrified. No, Hannah whispered. People say that, but they leave. Sarah swallowed the lump in her throat. I won't leave. But even then, even when she spoke with all the sincerity in her soul, the girls didn't look convinced. Not fully. Because children like them, children who have been abandoned, don't believe words easily. They believe actions. And Sarah had none. Not yet. Later that night, when the twins finally fell asleep in the cafe's back booth, Sarah stepped outside. She leaned against the wall, covered her face, and broke. Silent tears at first, then sobs. Deep, shaking sobs she had held inside for years. What am I doing? I'm not a mom. I'm not even good at dating. Or relationships. Or anything. She thought of the blind date who left. Of her ex-fiancé who cheated. Of every moment life made her feel unwanted. How can I take care of 2 kids when I can barely take care of myself? Her heart twisted. Her legs trembled. Snowflakes melted on her cheeks, mixing with tears. But then the cafe door opened. Tiny footsteps padded toward her. She turned and saw Holly, in her socks, holding the stuffed bunny with the missing ear. Are you crying? Holly asked softly. No, sweetie, Sarah whispered, wiping her cheeks. It's just cold. Holly climbed onto her lap without asking, rested her head on Sarah's shoulder, and whispered the words that changed everything. You don't have to be perfect. Just don't leave us. That was it. That was the moment Sarah made the decision. Not a logical one, not a planned one. A soul decision. She wrapped her arms around Holly. I'm not leaving, she whispered. I promise. The next days were chaos, papers, phone calls, social workers, background checks. Sarah's small apartment suddenly had drawings taped to the fridge. 2 tiny toothbrushes in the bathroom. 3 bowls on the table every morning. There were nightmares. There were medical appointments. There were mornings she cried in the shower because she was terrified she would fail them. But there were also miracles. The sound of 2 giggles echoing through her kitchen. Hannah finally eating a full meal. Holly reaching for Sarah's hand without fear. And one morning, they called her something new. Mom. Sarah froze. The spoon slipped from her hand. Her breath caught. Then she cried, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming weight of being chosen. Chosen by children who had every reason not to trust. Chosen by hearts that had been wounded and abandoned. Chosen to heal. A month later, on a sunny Saturday morning, the cafe owner approached Sarah. He had watched everything. Watched her fight. Watched her struggle. Watched her transform. He handed her an envelope. What's this? She asked. A Christmas gift. Late, but meaningful. Inside was a letter, a job offer, a grant, and enough financial support to help her adopt the twins legally. Sarah stared at him, speechless. Why? She whispered. The owner smiled softly. Because I saw 2 little girls walk into my cafe with no hope, and I saw a woman who gave it back to them. Christmas isn't about gifts, or dates, or perfect nights. It's about moments that rewrite your life when you least expect it. Sarah walked into that night as a broken woman. She walked out a mother. Hannah and Holly didn't find her by accident. Lonely souls attract each other. Hurting hearts recognize their own. Sometimes life doesn't give you what you ask for. It gives you what you need. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and unexpected miracles, please like, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Stories Hub. and share your own experiences below. You never know who needs to hear your story today.